12 months ago, Alina Charaeva was grinding through ITF events in Spanish towns most tennis fans cannot locate on a map. Today, she walks onto the grass at Edgbaston Priory Club having just dismantled the defending champion in straight sets. And across the net stands the top seed, the number 37 in the world, and the woman who humiliated her 5 months ago in Manila. This is not a match between strangers. This is a reckoning wearing the disguise of a second-round fixture. The 2026 Lexus Birmingham Open operates at WTA 125 level, which means the prize money is modest and the draw compact, but the timing is everything. This is the opening event of the grass court season, the doorway into the stretch that leads to Eastbourne and then Wimbledon. For Alex Eala, it represents a return to the surface that gave her the best week of her professional life. For Alina Charaeva, it represents something rarer and more dangerous, a chance to prove that the worst result of her season was a lie. Let me take you back to January 26, 2026, the Philippine Women's Open in Manila. Eala entered as the second seed and hometown star. Charaeva drew her in the opening round. What followed was less a tennis match than a statement of jurisdiction. Eala won 6-1, 6-2 in barely over an hour. The crowd roared. Charaeva packed her bag and flew back to Barcelona, where she trains and presumably filed the scoreline somewhere between humiliation and education. But here is what makes sport unruly and beautiful. 4 weeks after Manila, Charaeva entered the Dow Tennis Classic in Midland, Michigan as the 5th seed. She beat Nao Hibino. She beat Jody Burrage. Then she fell behind a set against the 2nd seed Daria Seville in the semifinals, looked cooked, and somehow clawed her way back to win in 3 and the final against China's Wang Xinyu. She closed out a 10-second set tiebreak to claim the first WTA 125 title of her career. A player who had been bageled 4 weeks earlier stood on a podium holding a trophy. The sport does not care about your narrative arc. It gives you evidence and then contradicts it. Eala's 2026, by contrast, has been a longer and more turbulent story. The season started brilliantly in Auckland, where she beat Donna Vekic and reached the semi-finals before falling to Wang Xinyu in a deciding set. She pushed through to the round of 16 at Indian Wells, beating Coco Gauff along the way when Gauff retired trailing, only to get obliterated by Linda Noskova 6-2, 6-0. In Miami, she reached the 4th round before Karolina Muchova delivered a similar demolition, 6-0, 6-2. At the Australian Open, she lost in the first round. At Roland Garros, she fell to Iva Jovic in the opener. The pattern is clear and it does not flatter. Eala looks magnificent against certain styles and certain levels, and then when she encounters the truly elite ball strikers operating at full capacity, her game compresses. The brilliance vanishes. The scoreline turns ugly. But grass resets the equation. Last June, Eala arrived at Birmingham as a relative unknown on the surface and left having reached the Eastbourne final, where she lost to Maya Joint in a deciding set tiebreak of extraordinary drama. Her grass court record reads 9 wins against 6 losses across WTA and Challenger events, which translates to a 60% clip, easily her best surface by percentage. On clay, she sits near 40%. On hard courts, around 55%. Grass does something specific to her game that other surfaces do not. It rewards the geometry of her ball striking without demanding the physical endurance that exposes her against the power baseline errors who crush her on faster hard courts. So when Eala rolled through Priscilla Hahn 6-0, 6-2 in the first round on Sunday, it was not merely a comfortable win. It was confirmation that the surface still speaks her language. She needed 1 hour. She broke Hahn's serve repeatedly. The ball came off her racket with a low, skidding trajectory that makes grass such a difficult environment for players who rely on heavy top spin. This is Eala at her most dangerous. Compact swings, early timing, the ball barely rising above net height before it lands inside the baseline. Charaeva, though, answered with her own statement. Greet Minnen won this tournament 12 months ago and came back to defend her title. She ran into Charaeva in the opening round and lost 6-3, 6-1. That is not a scoreline you produce against a defending champion by accident. That requires serving well, returning cleanly, and refusing to let the opponents settle into the patterns that delivered a trophy on these exact courts 1 year prior. Charaeva did all three. Now, the tactical fabric of this match. Charaeva is 24 years old, right-handed, born in Samara, Russia, and currently based in Barcelona. Her game was built on clay, shaped through years of training in Spain, and competing on the ITF circuit across southern Europe. She has won 4 clay court titles and 4 hard court titles at ITF level. Her grass court experience is almost non-existent on paper. 1 match, 1 win at challenger level in the past year. And yet here she is, having just beaten the defending Birmingham champion with disturbing ease. What explains this? Partly it is serving. Charaeva averages 2.6 aces per match over the past 12 months compared to Eala's 0.8 on grass. Where the serve matters disproportionately, that difference becomes amplified. Andreeva's first serve percentage hovers around 55%, which is not elite, but when she finds her spots, the delivery carries enough pace and placement to generate free points. Eala, by contrast, does not generate free points on serve. She never has. Her serve is functional, not weaponized, and on grass, that leaves her holding serve through the quality of her second shot play rather than through the serve itself. But Eala's return game more than compensates. Over the past 6 months, she has won 32% of first serve return points and nearly 52% of second serve return points. Andreeva's numbers on return are lower, 30% and 48% respectively. In a sport where the margins are measured in percentage points, Eala's advantage as a returner is substantial. She reads the ball earlier. She takes it on the rise more willingly. She positions herself inside the baseline to compress the server's time. On grass, where rallies are shorter and the return often dictates whether a point becomes neutral or immediately offensive, this skill compounds. The head-to-head history tells a split story. Their first meeting came in September 2020 at AW15 event in Melia when Eala was 14 years old. Andreeva won 6-3, 6-3. Their second meeting was Manila in January. Eala won 6-1, 6-2. The series is knotted at 1 apiece, tied in sets at 2-all, but Eala leads in total games 118-15. The average match time across both encounters is 1 hour and 32 minutes. Neither match went to a deciding set. What this tells us is that when one player has established control in this matchup, the other has not found a way back. There has been no 3-set battle, no momentum reversal, no proof that the trailing player can survive adversity within this specific pairing. Whoever establishes the early terms of engagement in Birmingham will likely carry that authority through to the finish. For Alina, the key is first strike tennis. She needs to push her first serve percentage above 60, something she managed against Minan, and she needs to be aggressive on Eala's second serve. Eala's serve is the structural vulnerability everyone knows about. It does not kick high enough to create space. It does not slide wide enough to drag opponents off the court. Against Muchova and Noskova, the best returners she faced this year, the serve became an invitation. If Alina can replicate that kind of early pressure on the return, she can create the break opportunities that tilt the match into her control. For Eala, the playbook is simpler because she has already executed it against this exact opponent. Keep the ball low. Take Alina's serve early. Do not allow rallies to lengthen into the 6, 7, 8 shot exchanges where Alina's clay court patterning gives her comfort. On grass, the point should be over by the 4th shot. Eala's best tennis lives in that window. Her forehand lands flat and fast. Her backhand redirects with angles that die on grass instead of sitting up as they would on clay. If she can reproduce even 70% of the tactical template from Manila, the ranking gap should tell. There is also the psychological dimension, which in this case operates asymmetrically. Eala knows she demolished this opponent 5 months ago. That knowledge can generate confidence or complacency. Alina knows she was demolished, but she also knows she immediately responded by winning a title. The psychological equation for Charaeva is actually cleaner. She has nothing to defend and everything to prove. She walks onto court as the underdog against the top seed. having already dispatched the defending champion. The weight of expectation sits entirely on Eala's shoulders. The bookmakers have priced Eala at approximately 1.29, implying a 73% probability of victory. Charaeva sits around 3.5. These odds feel about right. Eala is the better player on this surface based on accumulated evidence. Her grass court movement is more refined. Her tactical awareness of how to construct points when the ball stays low is more developed. But a 73% probability is not certainty. It leaves a 27% window, and Charaeva's recent form, the title in Midland, the destruction of Minnan, suggests she is not merely filling a bracket spot. For viewers wanting to follow this match live, the Birmingham Open's WTA 125 matches are streamed through WTA Unlocked, which is a free membership platform available through the WTA's official website. You sign up, you get access to live coverage from 2 courts at every WTA 125 event throughout the season. It is straightforward, it costs nothing, and it gives you direct access to matches that would otherwise be impossible to follow from most countries. The match is scheduled for June 3rd. In the United States, Tennis Channel also carries coverage from Birmingham. In the United Kingdom, you can attend in person at the Edgbaston Priory Club with grounds admission tickets starting at £12. What I find most compelling about this fixture is not the ranking differential or the head-to-head split. It is the question of whether Charaeva can translate her improved confidence into grass court fluency against someone whose entire game is optimized for this surface. Charaeva's title in Midland came on indoor hard courts. Her best clay results came in the challenger circuit. Grass is foreign territory. She has essentially one meaningful data point, the Minnan win, and one data point does not constitute proof of anything. It constitutes a possibility. Eala, meanwhile, carries her own burden. Her recent form reads 4 wins and 6 losses in her last 10 matches. The defeats include bagel sets against Muchova, Noskova, and Jovic. When Eala loses, she loses dramatically. The scores are not close. They suggest that when her timing is disrupted or her serving is punished, she does not have a plan B that can hold up under sustained pressure. On grass, the question is whether Charaeva possesses the tools to disrupt that timing. Minnan did not. Han did not. But Minnan and Han are not the same animal as a 24-year-old riding the confidence of a title and carrying nothing to lose. My reading of this match is that Eala wins in straight sets, probably 6-3, 6-4, or thereabouts. Her grass court pedigree is established. Her return game is the sharper weapon. Her variety, the slice backhand, the drop shots, the angles that exploit the low bounce, gives her more options in shortened rallies than Charaeva possesses. But if Charaeva serves above 60% and refuses to engage in long exchanges from the back of the court, she can make this uncomfortable. She can force tie breaks. She can create the kind of match where 1 or 2 points swing the entire complexion. The bigger picture for Eala is that Birmingham is not the destination. Eastbourne follows. Wimbledon follows that. Last year, she went from this tournament to the final at Eastbourne, and that run reshaped her entire trajectory. She entered the top 100 on the back of it. A strong defense of those points begins here against Cornet on a Tuesday afternoon in Birmingham. Win cleanly and the draw opens toward a potential quarterfinal against Kayla Day or a semi-final against the likes of Mazarova or Linda Fruhvirtova. Lose and the grass court season begins with a deficit that the ranking will feel for months. For Cornet, Birmingham already qualifies as a success. She came through qualifying or entered as a low seed, beat the defending champion, and now faces the top seed with house money. A win would crack the top 120 in the rankings and announce her as someone who can compete at this level regardless of surface. A loss changes nothing about her trajectory. That asymmetry of stakes is, paradoxically, what gives the underdog room to swing freely. Tennis at this level is decided by margins so thin they barely exist outside the moment of contact between racket and ball. A first serve that catches the line. A return that clips the tape and drops over. A forehand aimed for the corner that lands 2 inches inside instead of 2 inches out. IGA is favored because over the course of a full match, her margins are tighter. She finds those lines more often. She reads those serves a fraction earlier. She positions herself a step closer to the optimal contact point. But on any given Tuesday in June, on grass that has been played on for only 2 days and still holds moisture from the English spring, margins can invert without warning. The match plays at 9:30 Universal Time, coordinated on June 3rd at Edgbaston Priory Club. Stream it free on WTA Unlocked. Watch it knowing that the last time these two played, it lasted 70 minutes and produced a scoreline that suggested the gap between them was enormous. Watch it also knowing that everything Charaeva has done since that day argues the gap was a snapshot, not a portrait. Tuesday will tell us which version was true.